Up, everybody? Thank you guys for clicking in, coming in, hanging out. It is Friday, and it's a wonderful day. We're going to have a lot of fun, regardless of what the other side wants us to do and be all. They want us to be all pissed off. They want us to be all demoralized and angry, and want us to stoke the rage so that they can get some kind of action out of the, what do you want to call it? I call us Americans, just regular Americans. Some people go by, the MAGA stuff, and that's fine. If you want to, that's fine. I prefer to just say I'm an American, just like everybody else. I don't want to be branded. I don't want to be branded by Brandon. That way, they've got this whole thing now, and all we are were just like, we wanted America kind of like what it was, meant to be. And and it has nothing to do with this right here. It has to do with this up here. There's so many other people out there who are starting to see the same thing. They're saying, wow, dude, things just aren't working out under this whole weird division. I'm like, yeah, it's not. I said, this whole two-party system really doesn't even exist anyways. There's so many instances where you can actually see that the Republicans line right up with the Democrats. That's it. And the Democrats never line up with her. But that's just meant to be that way. You got to have somebody that stands firm, screams and hollers, beats their fist on the ground, throws a temper tantrum, gets their way, and you got to have somebody that gives them their way. Otherwise, it wouldn't be that way. You go to a grocery store somewhere and watch a child just go completely berserk because it can't get something off the candy aisle. Watch the Republicans buy the candy bar for the Democrats. And then the Republicans be like, we can't believe that the Democrats turned out to be doing what they're doing. Well, look how you raised them. You let them be that way. You let them get this far. It was not, was it by accident or was it because you just wanted to be loved too? But you were loved by the wrong people, because you're going to find out real quick what the majority is. And so Americans are going to say, hey, we're going to try to straighten this out, guys. So when it comes to the whole thing and how it got here, we know that in 2020 there was some really, 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 really weird numbers that popped out when it had to do with certain amount of countage of stuff. And then we got this dude in. But then again, when we sit and think about it, well, this happened in 2020. It's been happening. It's been happening. They've been messing with those things for a long time, and we're starting to learn that. And it was just real subtle changes in movements because they didn't have a real opposition. So there wasn't an actual contrast that could be shown when it came to casting the numbers. So all the little scales looked the same until we had this one person that everybody liked because he seemed like he was doing something nobody else had ever done before, which is actually do something good for America. There was a really huge line of division there, and it's shown, and they had to figure out how to fix that. And then you had this... Anyways. Well, now, at this point, watch this video right here. Here is a man at his peak. Watch this video real quick.
That's a fact.
Like I said, I'm going to be down there congratulating you. I said I'd be a president for every American, whether they voted for me or not.
Well, and the ones that didn't vote for your bills but run on them.
That's right.
Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
it's great to have you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. It's a very exciting day around here. We'll have reaction and analysis to everything we just heard from the president. We'll be back after a short break.
Yeah, that was Biden just kind of totally not knowing how to do an interview on camera. He just got up and walked away like during the live, I guess it was live. But yeah, that was, that happened to you yesterday. He just gets up and like, he gets up, walks out. You're supposed to kind of sit there and wait for the cameras to fade out. Then you get up and you do whatever. As he got up, you could see his blank stare, kind of like really, really nervously making, not sure if I'm even going in the right direction, but just headed off stage, just kind of like a zombie. And that's really not an accident. That's not an accident that he's there. There's a reason why that's happening. And what's sad is there are still people that saying that he's okay, even after all the other gaffes. I've got another one for you. Watch this. He actually really confuses the Constitution with the Declaration of Independence. I mean, dude, that'd be like me trying to put a tire on your top of your motor and bolting it down and saying this is the way it goes. I mean, if you're into these politics like this, just your normie might confuse that, maybe. But anybody that's in politics, this is like your thing. This is what you're supposed to know. This should be second nature knowledge. And at one time, you probably did know this, but over the years, and the months now, is happening fast. The decline is quite obvious. Watch this right here.
Of all what I think, the Constitution says we hold these truths to be self. All men and women are created equal, endowed by their Creator. It's the uniqueness of America. We never fully lived up to it. We never walked away from it. And This court seems to say that no, that's not always the case.
And of course, what he's referenced is his disappointment in the ruling of this affirmative action case. And for some reason, there seems to be this attack on Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas. And if anybody's looked at it in a more fair view of light and actually knows so everybody's got problems. It doesn't matter what the color of your makeup is or your hair. Well, even if it's your hair color, a lot of the blue-haired people, they got problems too. But anyways, so you got to overcome these things. Everybody does. It's up to you how you handle these problems in front of you. And whenever you circumvent that effort to go overcome any adversity through the act of affirmative action, and if you're thinking you're giving somebody an advantage, even if it's an unfair advantage, in the end it works out in a way to where they're not prepared and they find themselves in a worse place later on, and or just a group in general. Because if you got a lot of people who went to college and got these degrees, all not because of how well they did in school, their merit, but just because of the fact that they claim that they weren't able to get ahead in the get-go because of the adversities that were in front of them, because of a thing called capital R that's done by just these people right here, people like me, apparently, who loves and embraces humanity in a general. I mean, just, dude. Anyways, then what that does is that puts people in a place to where you're like really infrastructure fails. Buildings fail. Bridges fall down. You know what I'm talking about. You've seen that. This whole affirmative action thing just doesn't work like people think it does. Just won't do it. And Clarence Thomas knows this. And I have to listen for customers in the back, so I'll get distracted a little bit. Forgive me, guys. Busy day. But so for some reason, 6 justices out of the people dissented that ruled in this favor of this way it went. But for some reason, Clarence Thomas, the only one who's non-white, is being completely singled out by the left. And there's this one account that's on Twitter that's getting all these millions of views. And I'm not going to name it because I'm not going to give this person any credit. But they're going around just singling out, and it's a white chick. It's a white chick calling Clarence Thomas the capital R word, and saying that that they can't believe that they want people to do things based on merit when this specifically tweet was no other than not for their merits. I have to be careful with words. They can't make it on a merit-based system. None of them can. Nobody can. None of these people of this demographic or ethnicity can. And that's such an awful thing to say. How you're going to just lump everybody in who's worked very hard, who is doing something against that, working against all the adversities. So that's just another way to try to keep people in that plantation of the Democrat Party. And what gets me is you've got to understand there are no two-party systems. Yes, we have Republicans. Yes, we have Democrats. Yes, you have people that go back and forth on the House and Senate floor and make these big shows. But in all actuality, they all go out to eat at lunch together. It's just like watching a big WWF match. Oh, wait a minute. WWE, because the World Wildlife Federation took that back from Vince McMahon back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They said, no more WWF. Anyways, the WEF. There's too many W's. There's WWW, WEF. Anyways, I'm getting lost on all that. Speaking of getting lost, in the suburbs, people, for some reason, people who live in suburbs have no idea what's going on around them. They're just oblique to everything. So whatever they say or whatever they try to compare to, this doesn't count for anything. And here is a wonderful, wonderful congressperson who's going to explain that to us. Miss LaTanya, please explain to us what we need to understand. Here we go.
Fuck the suburbs, because they don't know a goddamn thing about how life is in the city.
All right, so just because you live in the city, it's got to be bad, and so you need to. That's what gets me. It's like that whole mindset is, it's just hard and tough in the cities. Well, then don't live in the cities. Don't make cities. She's laid out the whole debunking of these 15-minute cities that everybody's talking about are the greatest idea that's known to man. Are you kidding me? So if it's so rough and it's so hard and it's so repressive living in the cities that us people, like as in Americans, or anybody who lives in the suburbs that's not in the cities, just because we don't subject ourselves to all that terrible, just being so close to everybody, tensions rising because of all the vehicles in the area that can't get around. You got all the road rage. You've got everybody bumping into each other on, walking up and down the street. Everybody needs to be progressive. You got to be progressive. You're in the city. Be progressive. Be progressive. Walk around with no clothes on. It's okay. It's the city. So, and that makes it tough. And then and because of that, we have no idea what's going on. It sounds to me like people in the suburbs know exactly what's going on in the cities, and we don't want to be a part of it. And if you want to subject yourself and raise a family and can you imagine I know there's a lot of people live in the cities, not knocking it, but you know what I'm talking about. When you live one house next to another, right on top of each other, and you have if you have teenage sons or daughters, and you're like, go to bed, you got to go to school. And then all of a sudden, you find out that you have to put an alarm on their window because they open the window and they go 4 houses down and they all pile up to the parents who are all the enablers who just want to have, it's not a good scene. There's so many instances when you mix people, it doesn't matter if it's all the same, skin color. You put all these people in one place, you're going to have problems. I think there is some scripture in the Bible that says that, hey, that man or humankind needs to be somewhat, not completely separated, but there needs to be some room to grow. You've got a lot of things that happen when you just put everybody in a big pile and hope for the best. And for her to say that, it's like in her mindset, they want to expand these suburbs. These urban areas, these cities. They want to expand them, and they want to take you away from your suburban homes out in the kind of like where you're in rural areas, and force you into these places. Because if they've had to endure it, you got to too. It's like some weird thing. I don't get it, but what a terrible thing to say, especially on the congressional floor. That's on record. That will be forever in history. Whenever somebody goes back on that certain day and time during that meeting or that hearing, there's going to be on record what that woman said. That's a real nice thing to put in the history books. And by the way, right there is probably a good sign of what affirmative action already exists. That person right there with that mindset and that tenure actually went to college, got a degree, got certified to do whatever in the world they're doing, and got in the position that they're at. And this is the level of integrity that they operate at. Do you think for 1 second with that mindset that there's going to be non-biased and something that's good for everybody to be in place? Or do you think that there's going to be some kind of implementation of any kind of like ordinance, money to be spent? Is it going to go everywhere, or is it going to go in one direction? And will that one direction benefit the people that it's supposed to benefit them, to give them the jump start in life, and they'll use it properly to be able to prosper and become super awesome humans, just like they did when they gave somebody the neat holiday called Juneteenth. They said, here's your holiday, everybody, it's Juneteenth, and we're going to give it to you because you deserve it. And what do? They go off and hurt they hurt themselves, they burn businesses down, they riot, they cause all these problems because it's their holiday. And I'm not, trust me, I love everybody, and I see the faults in everything. I see the good in everything. But when I see something wrong, I'm going to point it out, and it just so happens to be that. It doesn't work. If anybody wants to know, I'm not going to go into detail about my personal life too much, but I will give you this much right here. I grew up without a father, a fatherless home, a mother that was just messed up on just gosh, and I love her, but I promise you, I didn't get any boosts on the way up. Quit school when I was 16 years old. Started working. Been working ever since. I've actually done a little bit of time. Been in that system. So, anybody got anything to say about privilege? I want to hear it in the comment section. Tell me. Hit me up with that. I can tell you a little thing or two about privilege. But anyhow, I got another. Oh, speaking about that right here. Here we go. Here's Eric Adams. You ready for this? You ready? Watch this.
Big landlords, that they're the main ones. We're not talking about your little tiny landlord. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the rent guidelines board. You said before and after that you supported those rent increases in national saw, they had a 0% rent increase. Why in New York City, where the real estate is controlling you, Mr. Mayor, why are we having these horrible rent increases last year and this year?
Just to set the stage, that woman is a Holocaust survivor. She saw things and watched things happen, and she doesn't live in a very nice place. She's kind of like on a fixed income, and she has zero privilege. She's actually, she's elbow to elbow just with everybody else on the same playing field. Watch Eric Adams say something so awful and so terrible and so dictatorship. This is what people do when they are entitled to whatever just because they think so. Watch this.
Okay, first, if you're going to ask a question, don't point at me and don't be disrespectful to me. I'm the mayor of this city, and treat me with the respect I deserve to be treated. I'm speaking to you as an adult. Don't stand in front like you treated someone that's on the plantation that you own. Give me the respect I deserve and engage in a conversation up here in Washington Heights. Treat me with the same level of respect I treat you. So don't be pointing at me. Don't be disrespectful to me. Speak with me as an adult because I'm a grown man. I walked into this room as a grown man, and I'm going to walk out of this room as a grown man. I answered your question.
Whenever you're like 17, just turned 18, and some adult tells you something because you're hanging out somewhere at a friend's house and there's some older people there, or it might be somebody your own age, and they speak off to you, that's what you say. You go, I'm a grown man. You just turned 18, so now you got this, you got to state yourself and make your stake in life. You have to, even though you might not have never hardly worked a day in your life. I worked a lot by the time I was 18, I was already 3 years into the workforce because I kind of started working a little before that. But anyways, still didn't ever have that entitlement. I knew that I was, even though I was 18, I still had a lot of growing to do. I still had a lot to figure out because of the fact. But anyways, this man in his 50s, I guess, I don't know exactly how old he is, but I know he's older than 40, has to state his stake in life to tell you, I am a grown man and I will be a grown man when I leave here. That obviously shows some sort of inferiority up here. He's got something in his head where he doesn't feel that good about himself, or to him, what he's done hasn't really, in the world of his actions, haven't provided him the manhood that he feels like he should have. So he's got to tell you he's a man and shout down this woman who was probably probably voted for him, probably was the one that checked off his little box, a circle, whatever you want to call it, with the blue Sharpie. Probably did. And he spoke to her like that. And like I say, this woman she's coming from already a life of tyranny where she grew up and had to overcome some serious, serious, serious hurdles just as being a Holocaust survivor. And so in his mind or in his actions, do you think that he's going to be fair to all the people in America or in New York that are Americans? Do you think he's going to make policy that would benefit everybody? Or just better yet, everybody. We'll even say, let's bring in for a sanctuary state will benefit you. You're going to get benefit you better, or wait a minute, there's not enough to go around, so that means only everybody gets a little bit. Or I'll give you a little bit, and these people a little bit more because we might be, they're kinfolk. I guess we'll call it like that. Whatever. I'm using some quite staunch language, but please understand that I'm only using terms that they use. They as in the people who are saying this, not necessarily this, but it has to be they as in the people who use those terms. Isn't that neat how that works out? That it's just so easy you can flip words around. As I speak, I think how the left can flip my words around. So I try my best to tie those loose ends up. I do my best. I really do. And so I just really wanted to get out a little bit off my chest about what's going on and what doesn't seem right. And, anybody and everybody in the comment sections, good or bad, tell me what you think. I would love to hear. Like I say, I'm a big learner, advocate for trying to better myself that I can make people better around me or just educate. Do my best. Make people think. I don't know. So have a wonderful weekend. It's 4th of July weekend. That's our Declaration of Independence. That's where we, Francis Scott Key wrote a very important song, and we should celebrate what happened. So thank y'all very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and happy 4th of July, and happy American. Oh, I almost forgot. there's an article that's coming out, and I'll try to get it later. And I hate that I almost forgot, but I'm running out of time, and I got to get back to work. But there's a congressperson right now wanting to make July American Pride Month, and I'm fully okay with that. I really think that the people in the military deserve a month too. I think we need to go to a month. I don't know that everybody can stay off work for a whole month, but having some form of acknowledgement for at least a month of the great and wonderful people who sacrificed their lives and their families, not being at their families, not watching their kids grow up, because they knew that they needed to be somewhere so that their kids can grow up in a safe country, and in a world in general, because with strong countries creates strong worlds. And if we didn't have a great military, that I know there's a side of stuff that's not good, Millie and all those, but we're not even going to talk about that. We're just talking about the people who came in there with great intentions, who still have the great intentions. There's wonderful veterans out there who are doing everything they can to help do what they can. We can turn this stuff around. So thank you all, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And just please hit like, subscribe, and share, and tell everybody what's going on. I'm out.